guys. All right, so we got this redfish tournament coming up. What you guys want to know about a redfish?
How to catch a big one.
A big one? If I was fishing this tournament, I'll tell you what my strategy would be. It'd be one or two things. Mike Mahoney of T.A. Mahoney. What's the boundaries on a tournament, Tiger?
It's wide open.
Can't go out past Egmont?
Not
no,
past
it can't go into the Air Force Base. It's not public.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't go outside.
It's pretty much wide open.
All right, we'll scratch that one then because the big breeders are out on Santa Maria right now. At about a 240, they're hitting, he was trolling along for grouper. He got two that were, I think, 46, 47 inches. So they're there. But right now, the big fish are underneath the Gandy and the Howard Franklin bridges. And what's the time, the fish time on the tournament? What time does it start?
I should be done with the captain's meeting around 8 o'clock, so 8 p.m. to the following day, 3 p.m.
Perfect. That night bite under the Howard Franklin. Sitting in the tiger spot.
Carry on, Bill.
Better run that check back around. But anyway, underneath those bridges, there is a bunch of humongous big black drum. There's big bull sharks. And there is toad redfish. I mean, I've got pictures in my phone that one of the boys would delight and send him over there. I mean, redfish. And the way you catch those fish that are under there, Tiger's hating life. I done sold him out. The way you want to catch those guys is you want to use you can use cut bait, that'll work. Crabs, blue crabs. A half a blue crab. Now you can buy frozen crabs, or you can flush your money down the toilet. That's up to you. You'll get one or two, but they do not work as good as fresh, live blue crabs. And what you want to do is you want to crack him in half. Just put on a half, break the claw off, break him right in half. You can pop that top shell off, crack him in half, hook him with like a 5 or 6 aught hook, and you can fish it like a knocker rig. Everybody know what a knocker rig is? Does anybody not know? All right, what a knocker rig is, you take your leader just like your time, but you put an egg sinker on it. Like a 1 ounce egg sinker, 2 ounce egg sinker, and you just let it slide right down to the hook, and it actually knocks right on the hook. Or you can tie up like a traditional grouper rig to where you've got the weight, barrel swivel, leader, hook, and do it that way. But that knocker rig works phenomenally well. And what you want to do on that tide, when that tide's moving, say it's coming this way, you want to position your boat to where you can, and this is, say, one of the pylons, or one of the, what do you call it, the pylon sits on, that big platform thing? You know, I'm talking about the big square thing. Throw it right dead nuts right up there. Tide's coming this way, throw it right dead nuts in that. And what it'll do, it gets in that eddy, and it goes to the bottom, and it'll eventually work its way out, and then just reel it in and throw it back up there again. But I will get, if anybody fishes those bridges, that's where the winning fish is coming from, in the bay. Unless that school of breeder reds rolls in the bay. And then it'll come out from that. And that will be my guess. There are also some big fish around Tarpon Key. There's probably about 600 individuals in one school over there. My partner Mike had the pleasure of fishing Guy Harvey over there on them. I guess a couple of weeks ago. They were supposed to go offshore, but the weather turned kind of so we didn't know what it was going to do. We had, I think, 6 people going, and we didn't want to take these people out in 4 to 5 footers and beat the snot out of them. So plan 2 was he was going to take them red fishing. In about 3 hours, they caught 70 redfish, and nothing under the slot. And like I say, you can't miss them. There's about 600 of them. There's also some around Jackass Key, Cow and Calf. There's a load of them around there, as well as Indian Key. Not to mention all back here in Little Cockroach Bay. The way I like to fish those, this time of year what works real good is that they're liking pinfish, and even cut pinfish is working really, really well. did a show with Rob Gorda, and we were using cut thread fin. And I accused Rob of he needed to get a personal life because he over-thumped the way, I think thump's the word, but the way to cut the thread fin. But what he did is if you know how the top of his back is kind of like that, it's thick and his belly's thin. What he did is he lopped off the head and the tail, and then that center section, he got 2 baits out of it. Well, if you notice, this will be where his dorsal fin is up here, and this is the belly. He'd hook the hook in the belly. What does that look like? Kind of like an airplane wing, doesn't it? Bro, when you throw that bait, if you threw it on a straight line, it would actually lift like that and go. That you can cast that thing. I'm kidding you not. There's not a gold spoon in your box or a chunk of leg you can throw as far as that piece of cut bait. When you throw that out there, just let it sit. You don't want to pull it, because what'll happen if you start dragging that bait, it'll get marred up in the grass, and he's gonna have a tougher time. Fine, just let it lay right up on top of that grass, and do what we call dead stick. You just stick it in the rod holder, and when it goes, don't pick it up and reel him in. Cut pinfish works well. Cut ladyfish is absolutely the worst bait you can use. Just kidding. That's just an awesome bait. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Circle hooks.
I hate circle hooks.
I do too.
I absolutely.
I'd rather fish.
I want to catch if I want to hook him right in the rear end, and I've been doing since I picked up that yellowfin. I cut my teeth when I was growing up fishing offshore, and my business before I got the yellowfin was probably, I'd say 5% offshore, 95% inshore, and now it's completely flip-flopped. And I can tell you with those circle hooks on the American red snapper, the one you gut hook them. And if I've got a J hook on, I can get that hook out of that fish with the D hookers. That circle hook, that fish, he's toast. He's absolutely toast. And I don't care for him. I really do not care for him. But I'll tell y'all something that I have been doing. Mr. Rodney, I was been going to see Mr. Rodney there, and he told me, boy, you got to start eating healthy. You'll be proud of me on this, Rodney. On my charters, I'm carrying a lime, I'm carrying a red onion, a tomato, and a little bit of cilantro. You're allowed 1.5 pounds per person of fresh fish while you're out fishing for consumption. Now, I don't know if it has to be in season or what. It doesn't really stipulate, but I can tell you this. Bro, we've been taking, if we get an American red that's going to die, take him, fillet him out, or scamp. Scamp works really well too. Slice it thin, take that lime juice, squeeze over it, throw in that red, slice everything thin, throw in that tomato, a little bit of cilantro, stick it in the cooler for about an hour, and then break out the Tostitas after that, man, have a little bit of ceviche. I guess that's how you say it.
Yep.
But bro, it is good. And I was telling a buddy about that. And he told me, he said, bro, he says, I'll tell you what, speckled trout is damn good like that. So I can't wait to try it. But I mean, he said, just so it's a good white meat fish, that it works. It works really well. And I've got some fellows I carried out there from Honduras, and they made some with octopus. And they were telling me what a good little trick is carry some, if you've ever made it and you get a little too much of that lime juice in there, it's a little too acidic tasting, they just squirt some ketchup in it. And it takes the edge off of that and sweetens it up. And then I got a buddy from Peru, they use no tomato. It's just lime juice, red onion, and cilantro, and jalapenos. And that's really good. But it's very nice. So and even if you don't want to go to all that trouble, carry a lime, catch that trout, or catch a grouper or a snapper, fillet him up, and slice him thin, and squeeze that juice over it. Put it just in a red Solo cup. Got to be a rebel. And stick it in the cooler for about an hour and eat that stuff. I guarantee you, if you like to eat fish, you won't be disappointed. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not eating that raw fish. It's raw. But what happens? That acid and that lime cooks it. It will turn just as white as a t-shirt, and it is absolutely to die for.
A little wasabi sauce and wine, a little wasabi sauce and soy sauces.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll tell you what, it's absolutely, absolutely delicious. Yes, sir.
On the bridge fishing, is there a tide, a certain tide? Do you
Moving.
put the slack tide?
You got to have that moving water.
It's like,
And typically, I can tell you, nighttime, you'll catch them during the daytime. Nighttime's the key. That bite, if you can't be there at night, get there right early morning. And it works.
The black drummer there. I was there
What,
today.
yeah.
Yeah, 50 pounders.
They're a lot of fun. Those redfish are mixed right in with them.
Well, I didn't catch any redfish, but the black drum were there.
Right? They're fun.
Oh, backbreaking.
They are fun. We used to, I remember when I first moved here from North Carolina, there was a gentleman by the name of Captain Eric Shapiro. You guys remember Eric? He was like the man. Had the TV show called Left Coast Fishing. And I saw Eric doing that nighttime black drum fishing. I believe it was under the Gandy Bridge. No, under the Howard Franklin. And I watched him when he did exactly what he said. And I tell you what, man, that we were using 4-aughts straight up and down, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, Mr. Rodney.
Some ladyfish hangout spots.
Huh?
Ladyfish hangout spots, where do you catch about it?
A lot of ladyfish.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch here on Apollo Beach Flat. You'll see those bait schools, those little sprats out there. There's fish busting all in them. There's mackerel and ladyfish right over here. Anybody else? Who's going to win the tournament?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Anybody else have a question?
I'll tell you this.
Yes, sir.
I've had the least number of people ask me what the other prizes are.
Golf cart.
I-
Hey, go on Ricky Bobby on them.
Anything I ever like that, I was only worried about first prize.
Well, you know what Ricky Bobby said, right? If you ain't first, you last. That's it.
Or is it, it's like the, if you're not a league dog, the scenery never changes.
That's it.
All you're looking at is the league dog rear end.
That's
But
it. That's it. If you ain't the lead dog, the scenery never changes and the sun don't shine on the same dog's butt every day.
I've had 2 people put on the bottom of the registration form, please deliver the cart to the above address.
Oh, nice. I'll tell you.
There's a lot of people think that they're going to go home with a golf cart.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we went today, we filmed a show down in Sanibel Island today with Ozzie Fisher. And Ozzie's one of my five. Me and Ozzie started about the same time, and he's just an absolute freak. Ozzie's one of those guys when you ask him, hey Oz, how'd you do today? Oh, we did all right. That's the standard Ozzie Fisher answer. We did all right. We're supposed to fish with him, but you know how the weather's going? So Michael called us, bro, we might want to put this thing off. The weather's looking kind of bad. He's like, you might want to reconsider. I says, why is that? He's like, I stroked him today. Well, just kind of tell you a bit about this guy. When we were first starting out, he's out of Sanibel, Captiva, fishes South Seas Plantation down there. He's their premier guide. He had a client hired him to fish. There was some 2-day snook trout redfish. You took your 2 biggest snook, your 2 biggest redfish, your 2 biggest trout. This is back when Jack Harper had the Millers tournaments out there to where we were fishing on Saturdays for anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 cash every Saturday for 3 hours. His client says, I think we should do both tournaments. Ozzie's like, you're out your mind, man. You want me to fish all the way up here, make a 40-minute boat ride, fish for 3 hours, another 40 minutes back here, and we're going to do both. I said, yeah, why not? I'll pay for it. I was like, what the hell? You're the customer. That kid went and had he only needed 2 more snook by the time the tarpon tournament started. Weighed in his tarpon, won the tarpon tournament, rolled back to Redfish Pass, plucked a 38 and a 39-inch snook, went back and won that one too. And I mean, I can't remember, I think they won right at 50 grand that day with the 2 tournaments. But I mean, he's just absolute. And I remember one time we were fishing, he hooked up a tarpon. He came in around by the phosphate dot and started going up. Many of you guys are familiar with Boca Grande Pass and how it's laid out there. Once you come in around to the inside, there's a series of docks in there. That kid swam under 14 docks and landed that fish. It wasn't even a contender, but Jack was so impressed with the effort that kid put. Well, he's an old man like me now, but the this is like 20 years ago, was so impressed, he gave Ozzy a trophy, just said, and the trophies weren't cheap, gave him one of those bronze trophies for doing that. But I mean, anyway, back to what I was saying, he said they stroked them. To tell you the difference a day will make, we went to where he called him yesterday, and I mean, we had everything from lizard fish to parrotfish, green, but we had everything under the sun. Went to the place where he stroked them, right there at the pass, nothing. Not a sniff. So he's like, all right, well, and we noticed we're not seeing any dolphins out. We're not seeing any birds. The birds we're seeing are in the trees or standing on the sandbar. We go through this dock. Now, he told us for that we need to bring our 30-pound test gear that we permit fish with. Well, the snook he caught, that was for the snook he caught yesterday in the pass. He said, we're going to my next hole where we got them. We need your tarpon rods. We're using a 65-pound test on 9-foot rods with like an 8,000 series rod with 60 pounds of drag with an 80-pound leader. I'm like, we're going to go catch snook. He's like, trust me, you're not going to. He said, these fish are going to make you look stupid. Went around there, nothing. So then we went and started hitting these long bars. We started using little white baits under cord. Caught a couple of nice trout, but I mean, we were really, really working hard. And then he's like, well, let's try another spot. So we made another long run, found a place, we're riding along, heading to this other spot. We see this shoal, there's terns, pelicans diving, they're feeding, seeing a couple of crashes here and there in the bait schools. So we started throwing the little Strike King sexy shads. Throwing those, and they're caffeine shad, the Kevin Van Dam caffeine shad. And we're getting doubles and triples on trout. They weren't very big, but I mean, every cast we were catching fish. And I guess the thing I'm saying, a day this time of year with the fronts and everything's going on will make a difference. But you've got, especially fishing this tournament that you guys got coming up, you better be ready for anything and any opportunity that presents itself. But you got to have a game plan and stick to your game plan. And when it's not panning out, be ready to change gears and go to the next one. And the next one. I mean, we fished a long, long time today before we got on a decent bite. And then we wound up going back to where we originally started at to see if those snook had turned on, and they hadn't. But there again, we didn't see any birds or anything. We did have one dolphin come in, and I told Ozzy, I said, look, there's a dolphin. Those fish are in here. He's coming in here to get one. And he said, now that you mention it, yesterday when they were getting those big ones on the docks, they had about 5 dolphins over there feeding as well. So I guess just never give up. Be ready for whatever comes along. I don't know what point that had, but that sounds pretty good. Anybody else have a question? Yes, sir.
Fishing over at Tarpon Key, what kind of bait? Are you using live bait?
Using live bait and cut bait. Those cut thread fins or cut pinfish, a live pinfish. Now I'll tell you a trick. Many of you guys fish with pinfish?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you hook them at?
Depends on if you cut them in half or not.
Huh?
Cut them in half.
No, I'm talking about if you're going to use them live.
Depends on if you want to
Belly.
I'm going to tell you a good place to hook them if you're fishing that turtle grass. Hook him right above the anal vent where he poops out of. Hook him right there, because what'll happen is he'll get down trying to get in that grass, and he's got that hook in his butt. And that hook hits that grass, and I don't imagine it feels too good, and it makes him, he'll jump back up out, he won't bury in the grass. And that's a good place to hook him.
With a float or without a float?
With a float or without. I don't like using a float, really. I think less is more. The only time that I will use a cord, even on charters, is if my guys keep getting tangled up with one another. If that's happening, or the baits are going down in the grass and I cannot make them come up, then I will use it to keep them up out of the grass.
What are your thoughts on cut mullet?
Cut mullet, I like it. Cut mullet's really good. I like the ladyfish better. I think I like the ladyfish. I mean, even offshore grouper fishing, you put down a chunk of ladyfish like that, you better hold on.
How big a chunk are you talking about? 3 inches, 2 inches, 1 inch?
Chunk of ladyfish about like that.
Gotcha.
I mean, of course, the bigger the bait, the
bigger.
bigger bait. And the way I'll do that chunk of ladyfish is I'll put it on a 1/4 ounce jig head and just throw it out there and just let it sit. right on a jig head. Do you have a question, Rodney?
Does anybody sell ladyfish around
I
here?
I don't know if Southshore Bait and Tackle does. That would be-
Occasionally he has it frozen. That's fine.
Which that's fine. It'll thaw out. Yeah, it'll work just fine.
That's not got a chance.
That's it. But those ladyfish work real well. Anybody else?
I think that the tide changes, I believe it's at Shell Point. Tide changes at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna make a prediction that between 20 minutes of 4 and 20 after 5
Is when that fish will be
is
caught.
when the fish will be caught, because it's a 4 tide day,
Mm-hmm.
2.5 foot difference, so it's gonna be.
It's gonna be ripping.
You gotta lose 2.5 foot of water, and I think it'll be moving so fast once it starts, you won't catch fish. You gotta catch it at the top or in the first.
Oh, when it's ripping like that, the top, the hour either side. I mean, that's like the golden 2 hours. There's no question about it. In fact, we're filming tomorrow over at Fort DeSoto, and we've got some docks that we're gonna hit, but we've got this one flat that's got redfish on it, and I think low tide tomorrow is at 12:30. Tomorrow just after lunch, and we want to make damn sure that we're over there about 11 on that one to catch that last hour and a half, because those redfish should be rolling down over there. It's gonna be over there at Indian Key.
You're gonna have 20 boats there now.
Hey, come on, come on, the more the merrier.
Where are you gonna go when the tide is slack then? Out onto the flats?
Gotta move.
No, go somewhere else where it's moving. You can chase that tide the whole way, but hopefully we're done and we're going to leave at 7 in the morning, meet or 7:30, go hit those docks and see if we can pull some fish off of that, and then go play with those trout and redfish along that bar. Anybody else?
If you would for me,
Yeah.
they've all heard Tiger and I and Jay-Z talk about Glenn Taylor and the Boardwalk Grill. Now, the Boardwalk Grill is one of our sponsors
Man,
on the St. Pete side.
food
If
is
you would speak to
off.
that.
Food is off the charts. They got a lobster roll. He has the elbow meat flown in, so it's not that tough tail. It's not the chewy claw. It's that real tender elbow meat, and it's a real lobster roll. He brings the rolls in, I think, from New Hampshire or somewhere. It's absolutely off the charts. But the thing he's got that's real good, I went over, he's got a thing called the hangover wrap. There's a Hooters just down from him, and he told me he will sell between 10 and 25 hangover wraps a day to Hooters to the kids working there. And I said, well, what's in it? It's like a flour tortilla. It's 6 eggs, a half a dozen eggs, ham, bacon, sausage, green onion, bell pepper, hash browns, and cheese. And the eggs, he cooks them over easy. Puts that in there, piles all that other stuff in there, and wraps up so when you bite into that egg, that yellow runs all down inside it. And I told him, I said, bro, I can't eat one of those a whole. He said, well, I'll just make you half. I'll make you a 3-egger. And I'm like, man, he's like, you better cowboy up, pal. But I tell you what, I believe I could have ate the full one. That thing was absolutely delicious. His fish tacos are great. And if you're out over there on the weekend, where that John's Pass, where that sandbar is, that everybody hangs out, parties at, his buddy Kahuna does deliveries by skiff out to the sandbar. So you can call to the Boardwalk Grill, see if Kahuna's around. He'll fetch the food right out to you. It's awesome. But you got to do it. And if you ever get a chance to go fish with Glenn Taylor, do it. Absolutely do it. He is an absolute good time. Probably one of the best or the best offshore captain around. He's just absolutely a freak. In fact, he put me on my largest snapper ever, was 10.5 pounds in 120 foot of water up top on my snook rod. And that was pretty cool.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. For my birthday, when you two took me, Jay-Z, and my other 2 friends out, it was one of the best birthday presents fishing trips
Yeah, it was a fun day.
ever been on. I'm talking about, we were catching 30+ pound American red snapper. I caught 2 of them. We caught, one of my friends had 2 30+ inch grouper to the boat that were barracuda snatched 2 of them. so much meat, it was
That's
absolutely.
that pound and a half of meat right there.
Dude, I tell you what, that out there, we went out the other day and Dave Hoffman he started mating for me, and we only had 2 guys, so we were able to fish with them. Dave had a grouper on a daggone shark bit it. Everything from the peg, he got the peg fins, but from the right here under his armpit down was gone. We weighed the head in that part, weighed 10 pounds, just a head. And believe it or not, I threw it in the cooler and got 2 nice fillets off of just that little part. That little part right there in the cheek meat. I mean, I got some nice little dollops off of that. But there's some big fish out there right now. I mean, right here in the bay, they're haired over. 30 foot of water off Anna Marie's haired over, so they're everywhere. But according to the government, there's not any, so we got to close all the grouper fishing now come October 31st. But our brethren commercial fishermen can still continue to take them. Well, and I tell you what, you watch it, and it is coming. You need to pay attention because what they're wanting to do is do these catch shares. And that's what we don't want. Walmart's already put in, I think, like $20 million in to pass this thing. And that's pretty much how they've got the commercial fishery. Is the reason that they can do it is they're like, how many people from like the agricultural background or know anything about it? All right, well, like the tobacco, there was poundage. You were allowed to grow so many pounds of tobacco. Well, same thing with the fishery. You have your quotas that you're allowed this much of the commercial stock that you could go catch. Well, a lot of guys saw this that were speculators, and there's a lot of investment guys up in New York, wherever they went and bought up this poundage. So now they're leasing them back to the fishermen. For instance, Fish House, American Red Snappers bring around $6 a pound. These guys are charging the fishermen $3 a pound to buy their poundage. So they're making money off of that. Well, the federal government has not figured out how to make money off of you and I as recreational fishermen. They haven't figured it out, but now they've figured it out. Because if this catch share thing goes through and you want to keep a grouper or a snapper or something, you will have to go to like a Walmart and buy your fish from the federal government. If that goes through and they see how that's working, and it's not going to be long, and mark my words, if you want a speckled trout, if you want a redfish, you're going to have to go buy it.
If you want to take your grandson crab fishing,
You're going to have to buy it.